Have you ever had that daydream of just vanishing, walking out your front door and starting a brand new life somewhere else? For most of us, it's a silly thought, but for some people, it wasn't a choice, it was their shocking reality. These are the stories of people who stepped out of their lives and into the great unknown, leaving behind mysteries that have puzzled us for decades. We're talking about a trio of lighthouse keepers who disappeared from a remote island, a skyjacker who leaped from a plane with a fortune, and the most legendary of all, a pioneering aviator who flew straight into history and then into thin air. Some stories don't have a final chapter. All around the world, there are places where people just stopped. Their stories have become modern folklore, whispered and debated endlessly by experts and armchair detectives alike. They left behind a trail of baffling questions and tantalizing clues that only make the mystery deeper. Today, we're looking at three of the most perplexing unsolved disappearances in history. These cases have stumped investigators for generations and prove that sometimes the truth is way stranger than fiction. Our first mystery takes us to the wind-swept Flannan Isles, off the rugged coast of Scotland. In the biting cold of December 1900, this lonely outpost was home to three lighthouse keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. Their job was simple but crucial: keep the light burning for ships in the treacherous North Atlantic. But as the year came to a close, the light went out. On December 15th, a passing steamer noticed the darkness where a beacon should have been, but didn't report it. It wasn't until December 26th, when the relief ship Hesperus arrived, that the alarm was truly raised. The ship's crew was met with an unsettling silence. The island was completely deserted. Joseph Moore, the relief keeper, went ashore and found a scene of quiet, inexplicable abandonment. Inside the lighthouse, the clocks had stopped. A chair was knocked over by the kitchen table, hinting at a rushed departure. A half-eaten meal of salted mutton sat cold, as if the men were suddenly called away. Strangest of all, one of the keeper's oilskin coats was still hanging on its hook. Why would a man venture out into a brutal winter storm without it? The logbook offered the only clues, but they were chilling, and their authenticity has been questioned. The entries, supposedly written by Thomas Marshall, described a ferocious storm that raged for days. He wrote that the other two men were bizarrely distressed. Ducat was very quiet, while MacArthur, a tough and seasoned sailor, had been crying. The final entry on December 15th read, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." This only deepened the mystery. Weather records show there were no storms in that area in the days leading up to the 15th. The weather had actually been calm. So, what was the storm Marshall was writing about? The official investigation concluded the men were likely swept away by a freak wave while securing equipment near the cliffs. Our next case is about a man who pulled off one of the boldest heists in history, then vanished into the night. On November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving, a man calling himself Dan Cooper boarded a Northwest Orient Airlines flight from Portland to Seattle. He was in his mid-40s, well-dressed in a business suit, and calmly ordered a bourbon and soda. Soon after takeoff, he passed a note to a flight attendant. Thinking it was just a lonely guy's phone number, she pocketed it. He leaned in and said, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note laid out his demands: 200, $0 in unmarked bills, and 4 parachutes. The plane landed in Seattle, where authorities scrambled to meet his demands. The passengers were released, and Cooper's ransom was brought aboard. He then ordered the pilots to take off for Mexico City, giving them very specific instructions: fly low, fly slow, and keep the landing gear down. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, in the middle of a rainstorm, D.B. Cooper, as he was mistakenly called by the media, did the unthinkable. He lowered the rear staircase of the Boeing 727, and with the ransom money strapped to him, he jumped out into the freezing wilderness. He was never seen again. The FBI launched one of the biggest manhunts in its history, but the search area was huge and rugged, making it nearly impossible to find a trace of him. For years, the case went cold. Was he a genius or a fool who didn't survive the fall? The mystery got a new twist in 1980 when a young boy found 3 bundles of the ransom money while digging on a sandbar along the Columbia River. The discovery was miles from the flight path, raising more questions than it answered. Despite investigating thousands of suspects, the FBI never identified D.B. Cooper and officially closed the active case in 2016. He remains the only uncaught skyjacker in U.S. history, part folk hero, part baffling enigma. These stories show just how thin the line between the known and the unknown can be. If you find these mysteries as fascinating as we do, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't want to miss what we have coming up next. Now for the most legendary disappearance of them all. Few names in the history of exploration shine as brightly as Amelia Earhart. She wasn't just a pilot, she was a global icon and a trailblazer for women everywhere. By 1932, she had already made history as the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. But Earhart was driven by one last great ambition: to be the first woman to fly around the globe. In June 1937, with her skilled navigator Fred Noonan, Earhart began the 29-0-mile journey in her Lockheed Electra 10. They successfully flew over 22 miles, crossing continents and oceans as the world watched. On July 20, they took off from Lae, New Guinea, for one of the most perilous legs of the trip, a 556-mile flight to Howland Island, a tiny, 2-mile-long speck in the Pacific. The U.S. Coast Guard cutter Itasca was stationed at the island, waiting to guide them in. As the Electra got closer, Earhart's radio calls became more and more anxious. She reported cloudy weather and said they were low on fuel. One of her last confirmed messages was, "We are on the line of position 157, 337. We are running north and south." And then, silence. The most extensive air and sea search in naval history at the time was launched. But after weeks of searching over 250,000 square miles of ocean, they found nothing. No wreckage, no oil slick, no sign of the plane or its crew. Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan had vanished. On January 5, 1939, Earhart was declared legally dead in absentia, a conclusion reached after just 18 months due to the extraordinary circumstances of her disappearance. The most widely accepted theory is that they ran out of fuel, crashed into the Pacific and sank. But with no plane, the door was thrown open to other theories. From a lonely Scottish island to the vast blue of the Pacific, these stories leave a permanent question mark in our minds. The Flannan Isle Keepers, D.B. Cooper, Amelia Earhart, they all took a step into the unknown and never came back. Decades of searching have given us more theories than answers. Their tales are a chilling reminder that no matter how much we think we know, the world still has its secrets. These people have become legends, their stories echoing the unsettling truth that sometimes people just vanish, leaving the rest of us to wonder forever. What do you think happened in these cases? Do you have a theory we didn't cover? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. And for more journeys into the world's greatest unsolved mysteries, don't forget to like this video and check out another one of our investigations right here.